Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Ayşe Süberkaş. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan has started 2024 with trips to two Central Asian countries, which have seen deadly border clashes in recent years. His first stop took him to the Kyrgyz capital Bishkek before moving on to Dushanbe, where he met Tajik President Emomali Rahmon. Fidan signed cooperation agreements with the two nations and discussed ongoing projects, trade ties and defense. But one of the main topics during both trips was the ongoing border dispute between Bishkek and Dushanbe. Fidan said he hopes the two neighbours will resolve their dispute in March. In December 2023, the Central Asian countries agreed on the demarcation of 47 kilometres of their border. Clashes broke out between Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan in 2022 in the Batken region, leaving dozens dead. After the breakup of the Soviet Union in the early 90s, the two neighbors have seen numerous border conflicts over this agriculturally and resource-rich strip of land, home to hundreds of thousands of people. And for more on the Turkish Foreign Minister's visit to Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, joining me now from Prague is Bruce Penier. He is a Central Asia analyst, and from Lefkoşa, the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, Asel Tutumlu. She is an associate professor at Near East University. A warm welcome to you both, and thanks for joining me on Straight Talk. So, Asel, what do you make of Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan's trips to two Central Asian countries? I mean, is there any significance to their timing?
Well, first of all, this is the first visit of Hakan Fidan in his capacity of the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And as a result of that, he's very much familiar with the region. And as a result of that, the majority of topics that have been on the agenda were those ongoing issues that have reoccupied the bilateral relations between Turkey and Kyrgyzstan and Turkey and Tajikistan. Particularly, we're looking at the work program that was decided and debated for the bilateral relations of Kyrgyzstan and Turkey for 2024-26, but most importantly, opportunities with education, opportunities with the Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency were also discussed.
Yes.
And these two things are very close to Hakan Fidan's background, him being previously leading the agency and also being very closely involved in fighting or exterminating, let's say, the members of Fethullah Gülen's organization from the government.
Yes.
And from the overall Turkish establishment.
So, Bruce, Turkish Foreign Minister Fidan has said a border deal between Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan will be signed in March. How important is this development? I mean, how would that improve the region's security and stability?
Well, I mean, it's hugely important. This has been a festering problem for some years. The militaries of the two countries exchanged fire in 2021 and 2022. It's worried all of Central Asia to see this. The first time two Central Asian countries actually engaged in hostilities, including artillery, air support, drone use in the 2022 conflict. And the fact that Turkey was able to broker this deal and announce it is highly significant because other parties have offered their services and in the end been able to do nothing about it. Russia, first and foremost, has offered to try to help mediate the problem. So the fact that Fidan, Foreign Minister Fidan, has shown up and announced that they are close to reaching a deal and will probably sign it in March shows that Turkey has all of a sudden played a huge role in what is, interregional conflict in Central Asia that no one else was able to accomplish.
So, Asel, besides, as Bruce mentioned, besides Turkey's encouragement, what have spurred these nations to reconcile on their border dispute? I mean, is there a new order forming in Central Asia?
Well, first of all, with the Russian aggressive war in Ukraine, Central Asia itself became very much consolidated as a region. chiefs of different governmental organizations meet very regularly, including the heads of state. And as a result of that, Central Asia right now understands the very important not only role but also the place in international transit of different goods, in international trade, because it's a key piece for Middle Corridor. And as a result of that, the solution of the borders obviously is the very important first step in enhancing this regional cooperation and regional security overall.
So, Bruce, Tajikistan, although not being a member of the Organization of Turkic States, is deeply involved in the region through other organizations like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So, is there a room for Tajikistan to work with Turkey moving forward? And what are the shared interests of both countries?
Well, certainly security, and I would also point out that as Asal mentioned, the fact that Russia has kind of dropped out of the picture as a security guarantor, which they had been for the previous 3 decades, shows that all the Central Asian states need to look to somebody else. Tajikistan shares a long border with Afghanistan. I'm sure they're happy to get any additional security help that they possibly can. We know that there was a defense cooperation deal signed between Turkey and Tajikistan last July, for example. So there is room for Tajikistan to want to be closer to Turkey. And also, I think that it weighs on the minds of Tajik government officials that there is this organization of Turkic states, and Tajikistan not being a Turkic nation is kind of excluded for that. So it's comforting to see that Turkey comes and includes them in these kind of deals and is taking a regional view that's not specifically a Turkic view of Central Asia.
Asel, how has Turkey's soft power in the South Caucasus and Central Asia grown in the last decade, let's say, and where does Turkish influence stand in these regions?
Well, I think we need to separate, I think, the interests, the state interests and the soft power among the people, among the general population. And what we can see is definitely the increase in the soft power regarding the healthcare, for example, and education. These type of educational opportunities, the healthcare opportunities are very important for the population in both regions, in the Caucasus and in Central Asia. And when we talk about the national interests, Bruce already mentioned about military cooperation, which is very important, and the potential for transit that is offered. And this is a real alternative for Central Asian states that feel relatively sandwiched between Russia and Afghanistan, for which right now it's very difficult to actually transit goods without without getting into sanctions.
So, Bruce, Fidan also pointed out to the necessity of increasing the effectiveness of the OTS. Has it lived up to its potential so far, and what should be the way moving forward?
Well, I think it is starting to live up to its potential. It was very fortuitous that President Erdogan pushed this forward just prior to the outset of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. They renamed the Organization of Turkic States, right? It has existed in more than 25 years in some form or another, mostly a cultural rock shop. But Erdogan gave it new purpose. Now they have an economic backbone to them, and they have a security facet to their relationship also. And again, as Russia seems to be bogged down in Ukraine, and really the Russian military is proving to be very ineffective so far. So I think it's very important for the Central Asian states to see that they have other partners. There's other people they can turn to, particularly in this case for security help. We know that the Central Asians have all bought Turkish drones in the last few years, for instance. I mean, so this is, I wouldn't say Turkey is replacing Russia as the security guarantor, but they are a new pillar of security for Central Asian security.
So, Asad, what do you make of Western powers' increasing interest in the region? I mean, is there a power struggle between Western nations and traditional allies of ex-Soviet states like Russia, China, and now Turkey?
I don't really see the particular I don't see a conflict. Instead, I think there is a very much complementarity that we can observe in the region, since most Central Asian states are very careful and cautious in expressing their support for Ukraine or Russia. And what they're interested in is actually looking inward into the region, thinking how can they actually maintain their economic growth and development, regardless of what the international context is. And as a result of that, I think it's very much visible that Central Asian states are cooperating with and taking advantage of whatever opportunities are out there.
Would you agree, Bruce? I mean, following Russia's attack on Ukraine, I mean, how have former states realigned their foreign policies and how they have navigated their international standings, like away from Russia?
Well, I mean, the fact that trade through Russia has now become much more complicated forced them to finally pursue new routes of trade, which they probably should have been doing for years. And in fact, they had a basic infrastructure intact already in place out there. But I would point out, relations with the Arab states, for instance, have gone up hugely because the Arab states saw that there was an opportunity here, since trade was kind of strangled going north through Russia. That they could help, one, open up the middle corridor, but extend that also and include routes of trade that would go all the way into the Gulf, promote these routes and helping the Central Asians to develop them. So, this is one example of how the Central Asians have a new trajectory of trade and relations that's become much stronger since Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
All right, Bruce and Asel, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.